Minions. They are very annoying. I'm not even sure that they're important to the main plot of Despicable Me, but there's something odd about them. We were supposed to get their backstory in the Minions movie, but all we really got was that they were a very old and intelligent species whose goal was to stick with the biggest bad guy to survive, like a parasite. Somehow they form their own clothes and goggles out of literally nothing, and most importantly, nothing can hurt them. Now this could ring true for all characters in these films. I mean, Gru was nuked several times by Vector in the first movie, and he was even eaten by a shark. That's nuts. But these yellow pesky things, I think the characters in the movies are aware of the Minions' own invincibility. Hello, I'm the Theorizer, and these yellow things are secretly some of the most important beings in history. They literally are like parasites by latching onto the greatest threat, but they cannot die. They are beaten, attacked, hit, and constantly tested on, and one even floated up into space only to be hit with a rocket and still survived. This is comedic relief, sure, but it's also got a root in the plot of the film. Don't believe me? Well, when El Macho kidnapped all of the minions and pumped them full of the crazy purple serum, it turned them all into fully indestructible devourers of anything. It basically amplified everything they already had. But when El Macho takes the serum, he can be taken down by a simple taser. This confused me when I watched the movie, but then I realized that it wasn't the serum that made them invincible, all it did was amplify what they already had. That's what happened to El Macho. He just got bigger. And that's the main reason why I'm theorizing El Macho stole the minions, because he knew of their indestructibility. How? Well, Dr. Nefario had been testing on them for years with Gru, and we know it was Nefario who was kidnapping them, so it was likely all rooted in Nefario's knowledge. This movie's characters are aware that the minions, in fact, truly are indestructible. When Lucy uses the taser on even normal minions, they pop up mere seconds later, while Gru is still unconscious in the trunk, and the minions, they're completely fine. Herb cannot even attempt to kill them in the torture room, they just stretch and bend casually to whatever he throws at them. So the question is, do they even age? I honestly don't think so, and because there are no female minions, as indicated by what their names are, it means they cannot reproduce. This makes me believe that all of the minions were created underwater at the same time due to cell splitting, and that they are also immortal. They're like huge, large, parasitic bacteria. Nature has created these immortal and invincible beings who cannot reproduce because it has given them literally no other strengths other than mildly human intelligence. Hell, Kevin even blows up completely at the end of Minions and is completely and totally 100% fine. The huge nuke exploded inside of him and he shrunk. His clothes didn't, but he did. And do you know why I theorized this happened? I believe his entire body was demolished, and he was instantly reborn again as Kevin in that moment. That's why he apparently shrunk from a bomb going off, but his clothes didn't. Kevin died and came back in his normal form, both in an instant, because these things are indestructible. The minions began to cry when they thought Kevin died, indicating even they don't know their own strength. Even when Dr. Nefario gives one of them the anti-gravity serum and the minion flies out through the ceiling, Nefario jokingly says, "He'll be fine, I'm sure." But he's serious, and we learn later that the minion is fine. And before I get to my interesting conclusion, sorry about this short-ish video, another neat thing to notice is that these same minions have been around forever. I always kind of thought that the reason Bob was worthy of pulling the sword from the stone was because minions were the ones that put it there when serving someone evil from the times of King Arthur, but I mean, the way the stone cracks when he pulls it through indicates a ton of force, meaning it was probably just Bob's little extendable metal arms that forcefully tore it from the rock. Regardless, these same minions recur throughout history, like in Despicable Me 2, Gru talks about Kevin and Bob, and they're the same looking characters. And I'm not too sure where they get all of the clothes they make, but I do believe one thing. I think I know why Illumination created the Minions. I think they represent something, possibly. And I'm not usually one for metaphors or symbolism, because I like to turn concrete things into the abstract. I don't like to make abstract things into concrete. However, I think I know what they mean, possibly. I think they are an allusion to their own undeniable success. The concept of minions, little one-dimensional repetitive characters who go around spouting ridiculous humor, they're seen in other movies too. They are a rather lazy source of mass income for companies, and the kids love it. It's why Despicable Me is loved by children and hated by edgy emo teens. This concept, it cannot be defeated, and no matter what movie it's used in, it'll work excellent in marketing. Their success is guaranteed. Every time. In every movie the concept is used in. Minions are a metaphor for what they do for companies. They cannot be squashed. They will never die. Always be successful. Before Despicable Me 1 was even released, the company knew of the Minions' success. It's obvious. It's a lazy formula that's been used in tons of movies, and I'm not being morally critical of the company because honestly I see the value in it, and I'm not one for being morally critical of really anything. The only reason I'm bringing this up is because I think it's an interesting comparison, and I'm all over that kind of thing. These bland and one-dimensional cookie-cutter type sidekicks, whether we're referencing things like the fish in the Lorax or even the elves in Rise of the Guardians, they're all the same. Very basic humor, virtually cannot be killed, so easy to sell, etc. And Minions currently are at the helm of all of this. They're the most popular versions of these kinds of characters. They are an allusion to their own immortality. How's that for a cross-reality theory? I'm the Theorizer.